chose to eat rotten food today. Yeah, I didn't stutter. My parents would be so disappointed. I take a piece, then I realize, couldn't off. Like there's something very off about this meat. But I'm so determined. And I think maybe it's just in my head. As I'm plating, I can smell, man. Utai, man. Something is not giving in this meal. I take the first bite. Tastes very weird. I don't know what makes me take the second bite. Wasn't so bad. So I, with minimal difficulty, swallow it. I swallowed it. And then Bahumi takes the third bite. Do we continue consuming things that are toxic for our bodies, for our lives, to avoid a smaller inconvenience?
It's another week, another opportunity for us to take a look at our relationships with our vices. Things like alcohol, drugs, sex, interpersonal relationships, gambling, and a whole host of other things, just through self-love and self-respect. Welcome to The Best of Me. My name is Samora Mangesi. I've already said that this is episode 23.
You did.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Did you?
I'm not sure. Well, if I haven't, welcome to episode 23. Sitting across from me is someone who absolutely needs no introduction.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
I mean, you don't.
Because you've been kind.
I mean,
maybe I do.
Well, she is an actress. She is a voiceover artist.
Okay.
I mean, when I met you,
I was going to say, I'm like, yeah, that's how
when
we
I met you. When I met
yeah.
you, we were doing the South African Heroes Awards, and she was the voice of God. But without any further ado, Bahumi Mhlongo, welcome.
Hey, Sam. Thank you.
Okay,
yes, all right. Let me, because I lean back now. Is that fine?
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's actually really weird how you ended up being here.
I know.
so
I know. Did you get the role?
So no, I didn't. Did you?
No.
So we ran into each other at an audition.
Yeah.
So Chichili's up is doing, sliding through, getting closer. And we just kind of got into a conversation.
We did.
And I think it really warranted me inviting you to be here. But I was already thinking about it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had mentioned to you that day when we ran into each other that I'd seen a video of yours that made me really think about bringing you on here.
You did. I'm so honored.
No,
like genuinely I am. Like I think it's also part of the reason why I came. I felt very seen by you in our conversations.
Yeah.
So it feels really cool that you thought it
fitting.
Cool, fitting, found me worthy.
Wow.
To be on this
this
nice lush white couch.
So you arrive at a braai, you arrive at a bar, you arrive at a restaurant.
Okay.
And your host or your waiter or your barman asks you, what's your poison? Basically asking you what you would like to drink. Mm-hmm. So, what's your poison?
Today? Oh man, today. Specifically today. I promise you this is not like my life every day. I feel like it's so boring. But today, water.
Uh-huh.
Water will do. Just a young, sparkling water will do.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look
we're just feeling that.
Let's take a look at the big cooler box of everything. See what we have.
Have you ever given anyone water?
Yeah.
Really?
All
okay. I felt so basic. I was so worried.
All the time.
I was so concerned.
There you go.
Yay! And it's my favorite. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I'm very water specific. I'm that person. You know that?
Even me.
I don't just drink any water. There's some waters that taste like nastam and I'm like, why?
So, Bahumi.
Mm-hmm.
As much as when someone asks you what's your poison, we always just kind of boil it down to a drinks order. Oh, listen to that.
Listen.
We always boil it down.
It sounds bougie. It just sounds like me. I'm here for it.
Always boil it down to a drinks order.
Yeah.
However, poison in its inherent form is something that you consume and it eats you up from the inside. And that can be said about things that eat us up from the inside, whether it's things that work on our mind, whether it's things that work on our spirit, or even physical things, familial issues, societal issues as well. So with that said, I'm going to pose the question to you again. So Bahumi, what's your poison?
I didn't think we were going to jump so deep, like straight in. Like, dang, Samora. I would say, it sounds so cool. Look, it's one that I refrain from drinking now or eating now.
Yeah.
But the need or the desire to consistently be understood.
Okay. Ooh.
That's a pretty tough one.
Yeah.
Because it used to be validation, but it's not anymore, you know. But there are times where I just feel, sometimes I feel as though I am sarcasm itself, right?
Okay.
So not to say that I'm a sarcastic person, I
Yes.
am, but like what I mean by that is that, you know, sarcasm needs someone who understands sarcasm to get it, right? Maybe someone who's witty or whatever.
Yes.
And sometimes I feel like if I were to personify myself, or if sarcasm were to be personified, it would be me.
Okay.
Where it takes a specific kind of person to understand her. I feel like I've lived such a complex life, and a life that feels a little too unique. And maybe we all feel like this, but personally, I feel like my life is just so unique that it would be very difficult for the common man to understand it. Maybe even anyone to understand it. I've always been the unique one in my upbringing.
Yeah.
At school, even in my career, I find myself having challenges that other people don't have, and I find myself, you know, I find it very difficult to explain, I guess, maybe what I'm going through or my situations without having to explain my life. I feel like I would need to give someone a PowerPoint first for them
give
to
a little bit of context.
Yeah, give a little bit of context. Yeah, which then makes it difficult to form authentic relationships. To just be, you know.
Do you find that you are consistently misunderstood? Because there's a difference between wanting to be understood and feeling like people don't understand you. That's almost like a midpoint, you know. People just don't understand me. But then when people misunderstand you, is that they get it wrong a lot of the time.
Excuse me. Yeah, I do. I do find that I can be misunderstood a lot of times. I hesitate with saying that because I do know that there's a few in my circle who have finally even stayed long enough, you know, to understand that I am like a complex person, and are willing to understand me, and they do understand various parts of my life. But I do find myself being misunderstood a lot. Remember when we were talking, I'm going to get vulnerable now, but remember when we were talking, it's actually what kind of sparked our chat with, and this is just a minute example of what it's like in my life, where like I'll be in a setting, like I was on set, well, post set this one time with a few industry friends, and everyone was sharing their experiences and their come-ups, if you will, you know, and everyone just seemed to have like a shared just like commonality, you know, with like the experiences, like yo kumbula you know ngenzakala so empilweni yami, man, yo, it was so tough back then, right? And everyone had like this sense of there was something that made them belong, you know. And then you figure lapho Bahumi, you know, and you know, she's also like, oh my gosh, yeah, like me too, you know. And literally every single person turned their heads and they like, you too, like you too, you know. And I was like, yeah, no, for real, like I also had that experience.
And that one was specifically talking about being in a taxi, right?
Yes. You know, I was telling them, well, they were all talking about how they were all you know, they used to take taxis from here to here and blah blah, and the signs and everything like that, right? And as soon as I said, Nami, you know, and they were like, Sisi, goop, and they're like, oh, please don't even, you know. And it was like a young joke, and I was like, no, but seriously, like, I just saw a book I like. I was like, no, but seriously, Nami, I've you know, I've been through that experience, maybe not or like many times, or my entire life wasn't you know, a desolate, you know, sad come up story, but I have experiences that people don't think I've had. And whenever I don't even do it to try and gain a sense of belonging. It's just a shared experience that I too want to, I guess, include my contribution, have my contribution in the conversation. And they were like, no, please, that didn't happen, whatever. And I was like, no, it really did. And then they were like, okay, look, we get you whenever you want with the people, but like, this is not your, And so things like that where I'm like, okay, well, if I would explain away my whole life story to you, I would then start to feel like I'm desiring a sense of validation from you. And so then I then choose not to. And that's when I start to, I guess, struggle with being misunderstood.
Does that not come across as aloof then? Or maybe even slightly arrogant if you feel, because for you, you feel like if you're going to be explaining your life to people in order for them to connect with you, then that's you seeking validation. But then to the other person, does it not come across as you being aloof because you're just like, you don't understand me, so I'm not going to explain?
Yeah, perhaps there's an element of avoidance there.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's two-part, right? So there's the aspect of it where I have lived such a private life, and a huge part of it has been forced on me, just, when I was younger, that it's really tough in general to open up and now decide to be the person who's open.
Yeah.
Because when I was younger, it was a thing where we have to be very careful and private about our lives. I couldn't even have like organic friendships. I wasn't even allowed to have friends over for sleepovers. It was very, very rare, maybe like one or two.
Yeah.
I remember my dad said strictly, no sleepovers. He never trusted anybody. And again, it was a thing where I was even discouraged to form friendships a lot, really. Or to be very careful, but it's very tough to tell like, child, be careful when you're forming friends, because they never knew, okay, if the friend comes over to a house, what are they going to hear and what are they going to share with the public, and shra and all that kind of stuff. So sharing has never been something that came easy for me, and so it was something that I had to learn. So that's certainly on my part. But then there's the other part where also just by how people receive you, you kind of do get the sense that there's a conclusion that's already been drawn,
idea of
and it becomes very tough when you find yourself in a position to like when you're starting from a position of defending yourself, you come off defensive. You come off like a pick me or entitled, you really do come off as that person who says, no guys, now me, I also had like a tough struggle, whereas if the conversation, like for example, I mean, that one was sort of light, but if the conversation started off a bit more, yeah, you really? Okay, tell us more, I think I would have been a little less guarded.
Yes.
But because I'm already coming into a conversation feeling like I have to defend a preconceived notion, it then becomes tough to express myself. So I think there's a duality that has to exist within conversations, with people, where yes, on our end, we should give people, I guess, the grace or the space to feel free enough to open up, safe space, if you will. And then I guess also hope for, or I want to say expect, but that seems a little harsh, but then also hope that they would give you the grace to trust that they can open up to you.
The thing about it also, B, is that you were born into fame, right? And it's very seldom that someone has two very famous parents, right? Maybe there's the one, and oh my gosh, it's generational, and your grandparents. So already, people have this idea.
Yeah.
Already there are hopes and dreams and aspirations that are bestowed upon you. It might not even be within your family, but also just externally by the world. There are expectations of who you will become and who you will be. So first of all, I just want to know, how is it like trying to carve out your own identity, which is separate from the legacy, and also trying to get to know yourself without the preconceived notions and without the ideas and ideals bestowed upon you?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't easy. I wouldn't say the fame and everything like that affected me a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
I think it probably only started to have an evident effect on me as an adult who now was walking in the direction that I've always wanted to walk in.
Yeah.
And then, because when I was younger, it's okay. Yeah, this is my mom, this is my dad. This is my mom, this is my dad. This is my dad. But then as an adult, you don't want to hear that anymore. Now you are, I've always been my own person, but now you really want to be, known by that. And I won't lie to you, and this is not like a critique towards you. It's just an observation that I've come across where I'm like, I want to say questions like this don't help it for me.
Yeah.
Because it kind of makes me feel stuck back in that narrative. It goes, oh yeah, Konje.
Yes.
This is who your mother is, this is who your father is, and so except with people like you, and by people like you, I really mean like people who like I feel like I can trust and have genuine conversations with. It's not something that like I am excited to answer anymore, because I kind of go, okay, well, we're past that, and if I really am trying to carve out my own identity, then let's just stop talking about it. I think I've always had this thing with a lot of journalists, since I'm speaking frankly now, where shout out to journalists, shout out to you doing your job, Amandala, right? But I've experienced a lot of what I would call lazy journalism.
Yes.
With people who would meet me and they say, oh yeah, Bahumi, we're just so excited to have a conversation about you, and we just want to. And
then the entire conversation is about your parents.
and then the question comes about, and they go, okay, so what, like, so what is it like trying to carve out your own identity? And I'm like, well, it doesn't make it easy when you're going to ask me the question.
Leave the carving out your own identity, right? Have you ever been asked, what's it like being so and so?
I want to strangle someone who does that. Like, genuinely, I want, because I'm so tired of answering the question.
Yes.
I'm even good. That's why I find it lazy. It's not lazy if you've never heard me answer it.
Yeah.
If you actually, I want to say, look, I get it. We don't have a lot of, we actually do know that at this point in time, but like, I want to say, if you've actually done your research and maybe you've actually, I don't know, sought out a number of interviews that I've made, you would have found that answer ages ago. Since I was in primary school, high school, I've been answering that question in different ways, but I've been answering it.
Yeah.
And so you can see why I'll be beyond it now.
Yes.
But one of the reasons why I've never liked answering that question is because even when I was younger, my answer would actually always be, I can't tell you what it's like. It's all I know. Like it's, so someone would, one of the questions that I'd often get is, what's it like having a queer dad? Now you can imagine being a young person and hearing that, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It just is what it is.
Yes.
Maybe if you're to get specific, then I can trust you as a journalist. Then I'll be like, okay, you do your job. Ask me something like, okay, so what are one of your favorite experiences with your father growing up? And then when I tell you that, maybe you'll be able to find the distinction between somebody who grew up with a queer dad and somebody who didn't. You know what I mean? Things like that. Maybe I just think like that, but I'm like, don't ask me such a I don't want to say such a vague question, but there are some questions where I'm like, you are you could do so much better. And then then to the identity one as well, where I'm like, if you consistently ask somebody this question, you yourself are shaping not their entire identity, but like your perception of them, solely around this. Again, I don't mind it in like a segment there, or like, you know what I mean, because it will come up. I've never had a problem with my parents being who my parents are. But when you make it the entire conversation, my gosh, call them.
Yeah.
Call them and maybe have a conversation with them. I think I'm at the point right now where I'm actually just very direct about it. I'm no longer just like, oh.
Do you feel like you know yourself?
I feel like I know myself more now. Excuse me. I feel like I know myself more. I feel like I know. Knowing yourself is a lifetime thing.
Yes.
So that's what I believe. But yeah, I do know myself to a substantial degree. I like to think of myself as a very self-aware person. Sometimes a little too self-aware.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes when you're a little too self-aware, it's tough to find like genuine healing.
Yes.
A lot of things. But yeah.
And
I do think I know myself.
I think that is the basis of today's conversation, because the video of yours that I saw that inspired this conversation is definitely the one where you were speaking about continuing to consume something that is not good for you. And if I remember, you were eating nyama that had started to go off, but you continue to eat it.
Yes.
And I think that it's very important for us to be self-aware. And I identified so much with that because I found that in a lot of my relationships, right, whether it is romantic, whether it's platonic, or whether it's familial, or even my relationship with the public, sometimes I find that I continue to consume things that are not good for me. And then they really, again, it's a poison.
Jesus.
So whether it's something like engaging with negative comments or downplaying people's words or reactions or statements to me, where maybe this was actually meant to hurt, but I continue to brush it off, and say, no man, they're playing. And I constantly run at that level. Everything is a joke. Everybody has a good heart. And when I look back at it at a later stage, after multiple engagement or instances, I find that this has actually been chipping away at me. And when we speak of something like heartbreak, a lot of the time, heartbreak is never really just this big one shattering event, but a lot of the time it's people chipping away at your heart little by little, up until it's just little pieces. So I wanted to find out from you, what is it that you feel you keep letting back into your life? Or people that you keep letting back into your life?
I was going to say it's people
that are just not good for you.
It's probably people. And look, if it's not, because I like to think of myself, and I don't mean this in a self-righteous way. It's actually been toxic, but I like to consider myself as a little too gracious. Right?
Yep.
I'm a really, really gracious person. It's really tough to say that because part of me doesn't like that about myself, but a part of me also finds it okay. I just need to know the difference between grace.
Yes.
Or rather, I just need to know that I too deserve that. That grace is available for me too.
Yeah.
So it's I don't cut people off, personally. If I do, I actually can't think of one person I've cut off.
Yeah.
It's very tough for me to. But what I have done as of late is just place people where they belong, or at least where I believe they belong in my life. I think the reason why I'm not too quick to cut people off is because it's just for that very notion of understanding and grace. There's no problem with grace.
Yeah.
And I think when you've been hurt, there's the danger of thinking that of going to the very extreme and just cutting the world off and not giving anybody a chance, and you've given people way too many chances, and it's like, well, I've been given many chances too in life, so I don't have a problem with grace, but it's just a matter of knowing where to place people. With that said, though, that is still a struggle for me, knowing exactly where to place people, especially with people who I think should be in my life or I'd like to have in my life.
Do you really want to have them in your life, or do you feel that you're obligated to have them in your life?
Okay, sensei. Okay, therapist. It's both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both. Sincerely though, I really do think I'd like them in my life. Right? Look, I'll give you a very simple one. And the only reason I'm sharing this one is because I rarely share details about my family, because I have to, I think a part of love is protection.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So I'm very careful with that. That doesn't mean that we don't deal with the things though, right? Privately, it's just some things to be shared privately. But so when I do share something, I really do think that at least I really hope that it's to help somebody else. Some people have very toxic upbringings and parents or guardians that I would say it's probably safer to completely distance yourself from them. That's not the case here, right? I have 3 really loving parents.
Yeah.
But as with any person who, at least I believe, has been hurt by parents, because I think we all have. I even think our parents have been hurt by our parents.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for you to know where to place even your parents.
Okay.
Without thinking that you have to completely, I want to say, shut them out or withdraw from them. Because in this very self-aware generation, right, of millennials, where now that I'm aware, now that I know how to express my feelings, now that my feelings matter, now that I have to be validated, etc., we face the danger of not giving the people who raised us enough grace to know that they raised us at very young ages, who didn't have self-aware, woke, safe space conversations around them. They didn't even have or have the knowledge of therapists and, things like that. So it would be easy with a lot of things that I experienced in my upbringing, without getting too much into it. Personally, it would be easy to just be like, I'm cutting everybody off, including my parents, They were...
You know what? Since we're here, sometimes it might not even be your parents' interaction with you. Sometimes it might be your parents' interaction with each other, right? And the reason that I say that is that abazali bethu wena Bahumi, like, my mom has had to go to court to go fight my dad for the maintenance. My dad was there fighting, why is it important that I go to the kind of school that I'm going to? Other people's parents will quit their jobs because they don't want to, it's stuff like that. But those things for us are kept very private. And then in an instance like yours, just even the smallest spat ends up as front page news. And then it ends up, because of course you're your own person, but it ends up filtering down to you and how you feel and how you step out into the world and all of those kind of things. And I think that as much as it is very unfair, and it adds an additional sense of pressure that, you just kind of have to deal with. And like you say, you just need to know where to put them without actually...
Yeah, but so and that's literally with everyone, right? Like with my parents, with my friends. Like I told you, I'm not very, I'm very, guys, if I cut you off, you must have done like, like seriously, but then because I don't cut people off, I then had to still like learn how to create strict boundaries with myself. And that's still something that I'm doing where even with friends, it's like, okay, you want, because of how you're behaving, perhaps even for me, it really just could even just be for my own healing where I need to heal without you. You don't have, this is the boundary. This is the boundary line. You can't come this close to me anymore. And there's a
buffer.
Yeah, there's levels to it. But to your point of it being unfair, I have a thing about unfairness where I'm like, yes, fine, you could say it's unfair, but I feel like life is unfair to everyone, so I couldn't necessarily say it's like unfair on what spectrum?
What grounds? What's the basis?
On what grounds? What's the basis? Somebody else would be like, I would love your life problems, my darling.
Absolutely.
So but I was talking to my dad just yesterday about something similar to this, really. And I was like, you know what, you are just so lucky. I get it, we all doubt our cards, and I told him that as well. I'm like, we all doubt our cards, and these are just the cards that I was dealt with, and I just have to deal with it. But I just want you to know that you are just so lucky to have been born at a time where no one cared but they're beyond their jobs, because like that was the space where my father and I had to come with in the conversation. That was the thing that the point of understanding that we had to come to, right? Where I remember he'd always say this thing. It's like, look, I completely understand where you're coming from. I too had parents who, and I was like, and I validate your experience. I validate your experience.
Yes.
So, no, I do.
Yeah.
Your experience is your experience. However, and I guess I did have my moment of, remember what I told you with the friends on set, and they were like, "Oh, we had this experience."
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? And so I guess I also did have that thing of like, well, your one wasn't like mine, So I guess I did.
Different time, different generation.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, but your one was not like mine at all. Like, did Ma have Instagram? Did she? I don't even think she didn't even know how to use BBM. Like I remember, trying to teach her. So I mean, I guess you could say it is unfair, but I also learned that my dad as well had his own share of unfair experiences where he had to come out of his shell.
Absolutely. We all have our share of unfair experiences, and it's just about how we deal with them, how we play our own cards versus the cards that we are dealt, and how we end up showing up for ourselves within that space, right? Speaking of space, how's the new place?
Why are you like this?
Independent woman. I'm telling you, I didn't tell you.
Why are you like this? Oh man, don't tell. Now I have to tell the people the people who I didn't want to know that I moved.
They don't need to know where.
Thanks. And I just didn't want people to know that I moved.
Okay.
But I did. Well, eventually. It's peaceful.
Yeah.
It's peaceful. My pastor asked me this very question as well. Like when I first moved in, the movers came in, and it was the first night that I spent by myself in the place, and it was a mess. I even told you, I was like, because you wanted to come by today, and I was like, no, don't come today. It's still a work in progress, but it was a mess. It was boxes and everything, but I probably had one of the most peaceful nights I've had in a very, very long time. It was very, very peaceful. Being in your own space is something amazing, because I haven't had that in a very long time.
Yeah.
I moved out, then moved back home, and then moved out again, but with friends. And so now I'm like, just Bahumi again. And it feels very, very peaceful.
And speaking of that piece, because also the reason I ask about the new place and the fact that you are staying by yourself this time around is that there's so much signaling from the world. There's so much of the world telling us who we should be, what we should do, where we should go. And I think that when you live with people, there are, of course, those expectations. You need to step out of your room and interact with people. We want to go out and we want to go out with you. So, Aibo, what do you mean you know, manje sokushia la endlini wena uzokwenzani yini ufuna ukufaka umfanyana, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So in a world where we're signaled so much, and it's also just another thing on our phones, our devices as well, there's also so much of that. I want to find out from you the importance of time by yourself, away from everything and away from everybody else, for you to be able to reflect and have conversations with yourself.
That's my favorite time. That's my favorite time. That's actually how I got to know myself and tell you and be confident in telling you that I know myself.
Yeah.
There's this pastor, her name is Joyce Meyer. She says,
I know Joyce.
I'm paraphrasing, but she pretty much says that you're going to be with yourself for the rest of your life. Like literally for eternity.
Yeah.
Like if there's any person that you're going to be with forever, it's you. And so by virtue of that alone, time with self, time sounds so corny, but like time with yourself is probably the most key. It's beyond spending solitude, in the sense of just being alone and nobody there. Time with yourself is as intentional as time with me and you right now.
Yes.
Right? Where you and I are conversing, you and I are having a conversation. It would be unfair and a disservice to time with self if I'm with myself, but I am engaged in something else. Maybe I'm on my phone or, so it really is beyond even, I actually even think that it's important even if you're staying with people.
Yeah.
When I was staying with my friends, we used to do the kids, and thank God, like we're people who do like our spaces. But because everyone wakes up so early and by 7 o'clock, you know, people are going to work and whatnot. I used to do this thing where I wake up way earlier just so I can have time with myself. So I would wake up at 5, became 4 o'clock eventually, but I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I would go up into the balcony and with this beautiful sunrise view, and my time, would be time spent with self and time spent with God. Now I know that God is with me and
yes,
you know, he's always there in general, but I remember guys, me and my God, maybe my relationship with God is not like your relationship with God, but I remember
your God's favorite child.
I was but maybe because I was at a very intentional conversation with God about this time, right? Yeah. I was like, okay, God, tomorrow morning, starting from tomorrow morning, I want time by myself.
Yes.
I don't want the pressure of sharing thoughts and, you know, thinking things or whatever and considering that you are there. I just want to vomit whatever I want to vomit. I want to feel like I'm by myself. I know that you are here and I know that you'll give me that time and that space. But that's how intentional I was about spending time with myself. I was like, I just want to vomit and word vomit, if you will. Yeah. And just express myself. And if I don't want to pray, I don't want to pray. I just want to watch the sunset. I want to watch the sunset. And then we can, you know, spend time together. Sometimes it would be, you know, swapped around. And, you know, it's funny because even in that time by myself, it would eventually trickle down into conversations with my God. That's just how we are. But all to say that I think spending time with yourself allows you freedom. It allows you a space where you don't have to judge yourself and you don't have to feel judged by others, even God. You know?
I find that the self-awareness is very important because a lot of people don't get to know themselves because they're playing to the gallery, right? In the sense that you're always trying to appease everybody else, that you're doing things for other people, that it starts to feel like these are things that you like.
Preach.
These are things that you want to do.
Exactly.
These are the things that you say, but these are things that have been signaled to you. These are things that you've taken on from other people. And that is why, you know, I think when you said that you were moving into your own space by yourself, I was like, high five, because that's literally the time where you get to strip away and unlearn so many things that you've just learned from other people.
For sure. Can I actually interject to say that?
Sure.
When look, I'm a geek. I'm a God geek, right? But so when I said I even had to be intentional about that, even with God, right? I knew that He would give me the grace to do that, because He also knows a lot of conditioning that I had experienced even within the church community.
Yes.
That made me even misunderstand who He was, let alone who He was to me, and let alone who I was. So I would always see myself through the lens of something else or someone else, even in religion or, ministry. And so it even gave me enough time to read His word, the word that I claim to believe, and then actually make a conscious decision myself to want to believe in this, this holy book. So it's a thing. And that experience started when I first moved out and lived by myself. So I think that further emphasizes your point to spending solitude. Like, if you can live by yourself as best as possible, I would strongly suggest it. But if you can't, I would say take as much intentional time by yourself, because there are even people who I would love to grow up and get married, grow up as well. But like, when I see people getting married, having children, I'm like, teenage pregnancy, what do you mean? At that time, we're like in our 30s. Exactly. I'm like, I'm a teenager again. So they're like, I would even still say that even as a married woman, man, even as somebody who has a partner and you're living with someone, even as a young child living with your parents, spend as much time, I call it intentional solitude as possible. Not just being alone and wandering off, because that's even where depression can,
of course,
form
there's
and things
difference.
like that, but like if you're intentional about asking yourself questions and analyzing who you are and what you like and why you like what you like, just spending an hour a day if possible, but at the very least, at least 2 hours a week, but just being very intentional about it, I think you'll be able to walk in the trueness of your identity, or the truth of your identity, and just truly be, man.
Has this phase or this part or this decision that you've made affected how you interact with your work, especially when it comes to things like auditions?
In what sense?
How you show up for them?
No, so when you say this thing, what do you mean? Like knowing myself? Yeah.
So the self-awareness and the time with yourself and getting to converse with yourself, has it affected or informed how you are now moving when it comes to your work? Because I've found, and it's one of the conversations that we had, that the more time that I spent with myself, the more I realized I needed to do more. The more I realized that I needed to show up more. The more I realized I needed to do more quality control, quality checks. The more, here's an example, for instance, I relied a lot on talent and genius and not much hard work, because I knew I'm talented. I have genius complex, So now, with all of the time that I'd been spending by myself, I realized that there was a lot of work on the back end that I needed to do. There was a lot more work that I needed to put in. And in order for me to be able to drive my career in the way that I wanted to go, versus latching or other people latching on to the talent, right? So being intentional about it, whereas instead of waiting for the opportunities to kind of come to me.
For sure. Yes. Period. Point blank. Period. Yes. There's clarity.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Like, and it's so much more freeing to move in clarity.
Yeah.
There's a heavy weight lifted off your shoulders. When you're unclear of who you are, everything is touch and go. And you move with fear as well. You move in fear when when you're not sure of who you are, when you're not sure of your worth. You move in the fear of how is the next bill going to get paid. So you start to make fear-conscious decisions or bill-conscious decisions. You move with the fear of, if I don't take this role, then it may not get me to that role. And maybe this is the role that even though there's a conviction within you that says this role is not for you.
Not the one,
And I feel like this is not just in our industry. This is within any industry.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When people try to come up, you think, oh, maybe if I turn this, there's just so many maybes. But when you spend time with yourself, you're able to think thoughts through. You're able to clear the clutter. Figure out where these thoughts even come from, where these fears even come from. And once you're able to locate them, you can decide to not go in that direction anymore. It can be tough. That can be a process, but you can decide. And when you start moving in the direction of faith, which is, okay, this truly is my calling. And you only come to knowing that when you spend time with yourself, right?
Yes.
Spend time with yourself and God. And you're like, fine, this truly is my calling. If I'm called to it, what are the things within my journey? What are the resources in my journey that God has placed at my disposal, that God has placed in my way, that are truly for me, that look like Him, that sound like Him? That I know I don't have to fight for. And by fight for, I mean just fight for in the sense of like validation.
Yeah.
And that I know that I can seize. And I think when you move like that, because I'm trying not to go off on a longest tangent, but when you move with a certainty of knowing that this is for you.
Yes.
You start to appreciate it better and therefore start to treat it better at the level that it deserves to be treated. And then that's when you also start to appreciate yourself better and treat yourself at the level that it requires. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I hope that makes sense. So it's like it's a relationship between appreciating the worth of the task at hand, which is my job, and then because of that, appreciating my own worth, knowing that I do have it in me to take on this task. I just have to tap into that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, also a lot of the time, I think what we don't realize, we glamorize working hard so much. And I have nothing against working hard. I love working hard. However, certain things, when that alignment is there, when the clarity is there, don't feel hard, right? Because you understand that the stepping into it feels pretty natural. But the hard work comes in making sure that you do it right.
It's a different kind of hard.
Yes, it's a different kind of hard.
Yeah.
We're not just going to consistently be there trying to knock on doors, going to auditions and this and this and this. Sometimes it's just that the time is not right. And I was saying to a friend of mine who has been having a very difficult time, and I said to her, I was like, are you leaning into what this season is teaching you? Because a lot of the time we neglect to sit in the lessons of the season and we work so hard in trying to get out of it versus embracing it and being like, okay, you know what? I haven't been working for 6 months, and the more I try to get out of this and force things, the more it hurts me, because the more I feel rejected by the rest of the world, the more I feel rejected by this industry that I've given everything to, and versus actually taking a step back and saying, what am I meant to learn? What is it that I need to take in? Yeah. And also in that, what are the lessons that I'm meant to take for the next step or for the next load of success that is going to come my way. Because I'm a very big believer in the drought before, the flood. So in the drought, what are we learning? How are we packaging things? How are we storing things? How are we making sure that we've got sustenance? Because a lot of the time what then happens is that in the drought, we try so hard to, just
get out of it.
Whereas we're not looking at the survival tactics that we have learned, we need to learn. And then, yes, the flood comes, but after the flood, again, there'll be another drought, maybe. And now you haven't taken anything in the flood to prepare for another period. And I'm a very big believer in that.
And it can get, how do you say this word? Is it cyclical or cyclical? Because awufundi.
Yes.
You end up prolonging your own progress.
Yep.
And it's man. Sometimes you just have to, and I speak from experience. Sometimes you really just have to sit in the season, because sometimes it ain't no devil, it ain't no whatever.
Sometimes
it ain't no bruh. It's legit. Just, darling, the season is supposed to teach you something. Stop trying to rush the winter.
Yes.
Winter has its purpose.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just wear a jacket, but don't be out here trying to force summer into winter. They all serve their purpose, and every season serves its purpose. It's interesting you say that, because I mean, even with we just spoke now about the self-tape that I want you to help me with, right? Because I was just having a conversation, not much of a conversation, but my agent, there was a role that came about last week, and I was just not feeling it at all. I was like, I'm tired of these roles, and I found myself in a position where I'm saying no to a lot of things. It started a while ago, but then I started being like, okay, maybe I should start saying yes. And I was like, no, you're going back. Don't do that. You're going back. You're going back. You know your worth. You know what what's things.
The direction you want to go in as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
So stop betraying yourself. Stop going against your very integrity. Right.
And your intuition as well.
Exactly. Right. So I was like, nope, I don't want it. And so many of these things, I mean, as you know, sometimes they are, your agent offers the role, and sometimes, it's a suggestion, and sometimes the director wants you, and all that kind of jazz. And you and I were having a conversation about it. Remember the last time we were like, you don't want to disrespect the director, or whatever it is. So yes, there were still all those things to consider, but I knew I was resolute in not taking this role. I guess for my own reasons, Anyway, so my agent then follows up, and I declined the offer. This was last week, and then Monday comes. I get a text message. I'm still like, no, I'm not taking it. Then yesterday,
when about offer my jobs got tattoo, you still say no.
It's the same role. It's the same. We have to know. How sure are you?
No, but I mean, you see, the thing about it is that I know this sounds like speaking from such a point of privilege, right? Because there are other actors out there who are sitting at home and who don't have work. And they're just like, oh my gosh, Bahumi is saying no to jobs.
But perhaps I'm giving you the opportunity to take it. Because what if I'm taking the role that's supposed to be yours? Now, I'm not saying it's you, but I'm just saying that, like, look, again, I'm not even saying that this role is for me, this role is not for me. I'm just going by my gut feeling in that moment, right? And it's that thing where if something is for me, it really is for me. I'm not saying this for to encourage complacency. But if I'm doing the work, if I'm doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing, then what is mine knows that I'm doing the work, and it wants me, right? That's the point that I'm making. So I declined the offer again, and look, again, I'm not privileged. I'm not saying this from a point of privilege. This doesn't always happen. Sometimes you decline something and they're like, okay, shut up.
Just keep moving.
Yeah, keep it moving. All right. But my agent then kept on. And then, and this is the part that annoyed me, and this then goes back to the whole how people, a lot of people would see me and treat me in the industry and things like that. The director gosh, he mustn't be mad at me. I won't say his name. But that's actually how my father and I got to speaking yesterday. I got a call from my dad.
Yeah.
I need to go do my nail. I told you I need to do my nails. But I was like, hey, hi. So like they really want you for this role, and I'm like, and so immediately I tell my dad, I'm like, I'm not even gonna answer you.
Yeah.
And then like, we're gonna talk about something else. I'm not even gonna answer you because you know how I feel.
Yes.
And then after the conversation with my father, I call the director because I'm like, you have my contact details. And I call the director and I'm like, Mara, why?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even about the whole role thing, I was like, Mara, why are you gonna, you have just
it does
me.
give an element of overstepping.
Look, respect the director.
Yes, of course.
Love him. Love his craft. Now we know it's a him.
And of course, use whatever resources you have at your disposal to try and to be on your show, of course. Yeah. But they
start with my number.
Exactly.
How's about that? Anyways, that's besides the point. He did apologize for that. But all to say, and look, I was so honored because, like I said, he's an amazing, well-respected director, right? And the people that would be working with are also, really, really exceptional. What I am saying, like the point that I'm essentially making is that, look, I was not up for this role. Like I wasn't excited about this role, and I was very certain about it. This person then, I guess, went through his own journey, if you will, to try and reach out to me and have me cast for this role. Yeah. I say that from a position of being absolutely humbled by that, to say that's something, and again, all to the point of what is for you will find you. And if somebody really wants you, even this is a thing for your guys' relationships too. If somebody really wants you, they will, it'll be evident. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to grovel. This director either didn't grovel. He was just insisting on like having me, for this role. But if something is for you, it is for you and it'll find you. What I then have to decide from this is, okay, knowing the information that I know now, not just because they asked me, because somebody can ask you 10 times, it doesn't mean just because they asked you 10 times it's still for you, is, okay, how can I move with the information that I now have? Does this still challenge my integrity? And if it doesn't, let's take a step forward. And if at any point, of course, without disrespecting timing, everybody's resources, all that kind of jazz, I still feel like this is not for me, I can say no. All that comes from knowing myself.
I got a call yesterday. And the call that I got yesterday is about a specific show that they want me to do. And I was very adamant about it. And I said, okay, I hear you, but I'm going to need you to put it down on paper for me so I can kind of understand what the idea is here. And also, number two, very much about the things that I'm about now. I'm very much about self-awareness. I'm very much about mental health. I'm very much about taking care of yourself and also teaching people how to take care of themselves, whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically, all of those things. And I said that I'm not going to do a show that is going to be salacious. I'm not going to do a show that is going to be pervy. I'm not going to do a show that is, all of those things. And if these things are not there, if you want me on the show, you are going to need to include these things. You're going to need to include an element of mental health. You're going to need to include an element of taking a look at relationships between men and their fathers. You're going to need to take a look at, all of those things. How being a good-looking man, how you're received by the world and all of those things. So if you want me, you are going to put those things in. Otherwise, peace out.
True.
I'm not going to do it. And I think it's very important in knowing yourself and understanding what your purpose is and what your journey is and where you're going next and what you're trying to build. In that, if it's for me, then they are going to include those things.
Yes.
Because it then needs to become a part of my ministry.
Yes.
It needs to become a part of the journey that I am walking.
Yes.
Because also I need to be trusted in the things that I say and the things that I do through it being consistent. I can't now come here and preach one thing and then go somewhere else and preach something else. You know?
Yeah.
And I think it comes from that thing of knowing myself now. It comes from that thing of spending so much time with myself and understanding what I am now interacting differently with my work. And now my work is not, I'm not here to serve the work. The work is here to serve you.
Exactly. And look, Samora, sorry.
Go.
I was going to say, Uguti, like you are at a valid position to say that.
Yes.
Right? And the only reason I say that is because of what you said before, that you have taken the time to know yourself.
Yes.
We get how there are people who could be listening to this, watching this, whatever, who would probably say, yeah, but like just what you said earlier on, but you guys are speaking from a position of privilege, or there are people who really need these jobs, and again, that it's not to dismiss that or that experience. Not we need these jobs.
Yes,
you know what I mean. But I know myself now enough to know what do I place. I have my fears in order.
Yes,
right. Jordan Peterson said that as well. It's like I have my fears in order. All of them, it's scary.
Yes.
They're all scary. You know what I mean? But I've spent enough time to know that I should fear losing myself more than I fear losing this job. I should fear losing myself more than I fear losing this money. You know what I mean? Sometimes fear is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just misdirected.
Yeah.
And so with us, it's like, I've done the groundwork. I know who I am. There are people who may say this from a very pompous position. Then you still don't know yourself.
Yes.
Then you for you it's still status. For you it's still whatever. But for you and for me, I'd hope it's identity. It's where our future is headed, or where we see our futures being. Because the decision that you make now can, my gosh, absolutely
yep,
shift the trajectory of where you are headed. You know what I mean? And just because you made a money decision now, it's already been set. Go fix that foundation.
I always say, don't temporary solutions with long-term consequences, because you look at it now and you say,
that's a grayscale.
Yeah. and I say, you need this now. And you bend and your morals and your integrity, for this money that you need. And then in the end, it has this long-term consequence. There was a chat that was being had on Twitter recently, this thing of window dressing, right? For businesses, BEE purposes.
What is window dressing?
So now
I know window shopping.
So now we take Bahumi, we make her a director in the company in order for us to be able to achieve BEE.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I was 20 at the time, living in Cape Town, and I got offered a directorship position at R1 million per annum to attend one meeting per quarter. And I looked at it and I said, yeah, no.
No way.
I was like, yeah, no.
At 20?
Yeah.
Please speak to 20-year-old Bahumi now.
I had just started my first job on television. And there was this conversation, you are young, you're black, you're articulate, and, so you would actually really fare very well for us in this thing. And it was a conversation that had happened after I had emceed an event with a whole lot of really wealthy people. It was a silent auction for charity type of situation in Constantia.
Okay.
Yeah. So at that time, you're looking at this and you're saying it's $1 million per annum.
And you're 20.
And I'm 20. But the thing about it is I also knew that I wanted a career in media. And I knew that at this point in time, if anything were to happen, if there's anything illegal, if there's anything what about this, I will be the one that will be hung at the stake.
Yeah.
And I will never have the career that I want to have in the media space
Sure.
ever again. And I trusted. I really genuinely trusted that Tito is going to bring back that million per annum tenfold when I then do the things that he has put me on this earth to do.
Amen.
And it's taken a very long time for me to find it, what I believe I've been put on here to do.
True.
But I genuinely believe that now I am there, and I'm looking at, oh my gosh, I don't want to say this, but like looking at the monies, I just need like one more contract to clock that million. Yeah.
Come on.
So it's very important, Landio's it's very important, Lando, to stick to the vision and of course what you believe you are here to do.
Yeah. No, people often look at time as a villain.
Yes.
And I think time is, time is such a precious, precious gift. It's easy to look at time as a villain in that situation.
Yeah.
Like imagine if God told you exactly what would happen at that time. Like, no to this, not now, but I will give it to you in 10, 15 years time. You're like 10, 15 years.
15 years time.
You know what I mean?
And I could have it now.
Yeah, I could have it now. You know what I mean? But I've seen how, and this is no surprise, but like we just need reminders sometimes of how shortcuts have robbed people of time, let alone of the very thing that they wanted, So it's like, taking that very impulsive yes, even when it fights every bit of integrity in you,
absolutely,
can rob you of that thing and everything else. In the future, where now you're not only losing the million, but you lose family.
Yes.
You lose relationships. You lose health. You lose life. You lose joy. My gosh, you lose sleep.
You lose reputation.
You lose reputation. So you lose your life.
Yes.
You lose your life. You're the walking dead.
And I mean, I guess again, people could say, because maybe if I was coming from poverty, then it would be a totally different type of conversation that I would have been having with myself at the time.
Fair.
And anybody that has made that decision, we don't
judge.
We're not judging you. We're not putting you down or in any way.
Yeah.
Even 5 years of a lot of money and then 30 years of being in prison, at least you got to live
for sure
that life.
For sure.
For 5
and redemption
years.
is always available.
Yes.
It's just unfortunate that because I do get you, and it's
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Well, my last point is that, like, just to your point, is that like redemption is available literally for everyone. We've seen it. It's just a caution to those who may find themselves in that position, wamanje.
Yeah.
So that you don't have to go through anything you never had to go through.
Yes.
It's one thing if you had to go through by virtue of life's lessons, but it's another thing to choose the path of destruction when it was never meant for you.
Ooh. And with that, I think it's time for us to close it off. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. B, thank you so much for being here. I thought about that earlier. I was like, that's bullshit.
That's hilarious.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for making the time for us.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh, thank you.
Every single interaction with you, I always feel that I leave having learned something. I feel I leave a little bit lighter, and I hope that everybody else who's watching is doing that now as well.
I feel loved.
Oh,
I really do. I know it sounds very corny, but I do. And I think, love is just something that people don't share about often.
Absolutely.
And it's one that they're very about, but I'm
very
embracing
cagey
it.
about,
I'm embracing it. I really feel loved in your space, and thank you for creating a space where I think everybody feels that. I assume people will come here, but I've even seen it when I watch your show.
Yeah,
I feel loved, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything we can expect? Is there a book coming?
I don't see. One thing I don't do, I won't lie to you, is pre-share. I definitely don't appreciate. I really feel like I shared too much.
We want a book, pages from Bahumi's journal.
Keep wanting, and take it to the altar. Take it to the altar.
And with that said, remember that you can, of course, comment, like, share this episode with anybody that you think is going to benefit from it. And of course, subscribe. Click on the notification bell so you're notified every single time that we release a brand new episode on Wednesday at 3 p.m. We do, of course, have the merch as well. 064-771-4441 is where you can get it. And of course, at the best of me across the board on the socials.
Please don't come at me for my nails. Okay, I did tell Samora I need to go do my nails before this. I just want to share that.
Where's the broken one?
Because I'm a little conscious about that.
Where's the broken one?
So bad.
Wave with the hand. With the
that's
broken
gonna
nail.
be a meme. Then you're gonna get it without context.
We'll see you at the next one. Bye bye.
All right, guys.